Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel, and we're going to discuss the Raw show for the 11th of May, 2020. And as is typical, not a lot good going on with this show. Um, well, I can't actually say that. There were some good things, but at the same time, a lot of it was just I don't get it. And so well, anyway, we'll get into the show. If you're new here, like, subscribe, comment, do all that good stuff. Help us out. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so we can give back to the COVID relief efforts for people. So you can help us out that way. Share on social media and the like. Anyway, so we get into the show. They air a video package of last night's Money in the Bank show. They acknowledge that, in fact, Aleister Black and Rey Mysterio were thrown off the building, but landed on a secondary roof. Um, Couple of things. How many buildings do you know that have a secondary roof? One. Two, nobody was able to figure out this thing existed in preparing for the match, so the fact that it exists is some big surprise. Wow, there's a lot of really dumb people out there, then, I guess. Anyhow, so Becky Lynch comes out. She has the Money in the Bank briefcase with her, which is suspicious. Now, if you've been following, I guess various news reporters and wrestling media and the like, you probably are able to figure out that this is where she announces she's pregnant. Now, let me preface this by saying, and I know there are going to be some people who don't like what I'm about to say, so let me apologize for offending those who are going to be offended by this. Um, a good number, let's say three-quarters of healthy women can get pregnant. An even higher number, let's say 80% or more of men can get women pregnant. Why is this a television celebratory event? I don't get it. It's nice. I'm happy for her. As a human being, I'm happy for her. However, why does this need to be something that was given multiple segments and the announcers gushing like they just found out that she had, you know, 13 heads or 28 ribs or something else? I don't get it unless it's a PR move to acknowledge, hey, we have a big star who's pregnant and we didn't fire her for it. I don't understand why this was given such a huge bit of TV time. Um, I know that women have been employed there before and gotten pregnant. I personally know of a couple, and some of them were told off record what a stupid idea it was and how it would kill their career. Um, and they were shamed for it. Now that's a story that they don't tell on television, obviously, but it happens, and it's happened to more than one person I've known in my 12 years in the business, and even before that, I had people verify that women have been shamed in WWE for being pregnant. So all I can figure is that because Lynch is such a big aspect of their product currently, that they're celebrating it because of who she is or because they're afraid of the backlash of her disappearing. But suffice to say, I just, they could have acknowledged it and said, oh, by the way, she's having to forfeit the title because she's pregnant, but she's tearful and she's all this stuff, and it's just like, okay, I can get her being tearful. It's a difficult thing having to choose between your career and parenthood and all these things. And although it does later in the show, it's acknowledged that Seth Rollins is the father, and so with him being a big heel on the program, it kind of makes me wonder: do we really want to acknowledge a huge baby face and a psychotic heel as potential parents? So maybe they might want to clean that up before she gives birth. I don't know, because otherwise there's going to be a storyline logical there. Um, so she says she's torn between joy and sadness. She says things are about to change in her life. She asks the decision makers to raise the stakes for Money in the Bank. She's being very cryptic at this point. Continues to say that she's very. She remembers walking through the doors of Performance Center in 2013, never knowing if she'd be good enough. She starts to tear up. She wasn't sure if anyone would care about her, but the fans got behind her and helped her make history. Asuka comes out. Asuka grabs the title and dances around with it, but that's only after Lynch says that this is an opportunity. This was an opportunity for the championship. She opens the briefcase to reveal the championship inside, and Lynch continues, "I can't fight anymore, but you can." So Asuka is excited as can be expected. She grabs the championship and dances with it. Becky's happy for her. Lynch then says, you go on and be a warrior. I'm going to go be a mother. And Asuka gives her a hug. Then chants Becky, Becky, Becky to an empty arena. And they leave the ring and all that good stuff. You know, I guess it's cool to have them interact this way. I you know I don't know. It's kind that they acknowledge she's having a baby. I get it that they need to get her off TV, but does this need a 20-minute segment? I don't think so. It needs 5 minutes, 5 nice minutes, and then I don't know, 15 minutes when she has the baby. I get it. It's a human interest story, but it doesn't need this much time. Anyway, so Bobby Lashley versus Carrillo. Lashley grabs a chair early, but Carrillo drop kicks it into his face. Commercial break, and then Lashley comes back in control. The match, by the way, is no DQ. Worth mentioning, they go about 8 3/4 minutes here. Disaster kick attempt by Carrillo, but Lashley caught him on the outside and gave him face first into the ring post. And then Lashley tries using a chair, but Carrillo grabs it and hits Lashley with it on the outside several times instead. Carrillo then hits a springboard, but Lashley caught him and applied a full Nelson for a submission. So, I don't know. I mean, to me, Carrillo's a guy that you protect because Rey Mysterio is obviously closer to retirement than not, which means you want to have a few Latin American stars building up. I think Carrillo's good enough to be one of them. I would go as far as to say he might be the best one you have. But then I'm not an Andrade person, so I know most people think it's going to be Andrade at the end of the day, but it's just he's not for me. But so Carrillo to me is a guy that you protect a bit. So then we go into stupidity. The stupidity at this point is Street Profits challenging the Viking Raiders to a basketball match. Because it's been said that they could do anything the Raiders could do better, and the Raiders could do anything than the Street Profits can do better. Their Street Profits are excited. They make acknowledgments to Jordan and Pippen and LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and this is just time killing. Ivar is annoyed and said they can do anything that the Street Profits can do better, but why should they have to? And then one of the Viking Raiders says, why didn't they challenge them to people tossing or sword fighting or axe throwing or something cool? Why did they have to challenge them to something non-wrestling at all? That's my question. And if you're going to do this, shouldn't you have hyped it and actually shown the challenge so at least it looks relatable? Anyway, Charlie Caruso interviews Asuka, who's, excited and hopping up and down and all that stuff. Kairi Sane makes her way out, and There seems to be, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but there's pauses where Shane's looking at Asuka and looking at the belt, and then speaks after like 5 seconds. This happens a couple times during the 45 to 60 seconds they're on the air. Maybe they'll do a feud between the two of them somewhere down the road, which for those that like Japanese women would be really good matches, so might be worth checking out there. But anyway. Um, then we do a recap of Edge and Orton from Mania. Uh, Garza and Andrade argued with Austin Theory while Vega tries to regain control. Angel Garza defeats Akira Tozawa with Zelina Vega and Austin Theory and Andrade. I mean, this match is a complete throwaway. Um, for at this point, I think Vega's trio stable that still has no name after all these weeks. Um, A needs a name, but B needs a purpose, and C might need a little less TV time. And I get we're on quarantine only, folks, but man, getting sick of seeing the same people. Um, anyway, and that just shows me that the characters aren't over. Because I mean, if you go back and you watch TNT or you watch Primetime Wrestling or you watch the territorial days, you saw the same people every week, but there was storyline advancement that made it worth watching them. No brand in WWE, maybe the NXT brand, maybe on most weeks more than not, but the main two brands, they don't have episodic storytelling in a way that's like, I want to see what happens with these characters each week. It's more like, you again? Um, Anyway, so Saxton said Tozawa's been in a career resurgence in NXT due to the interim cruiserweight, uh, championship tournament, which is just stupid. If the NXT championship, cruiserweight championship means anything, shouldn't Tozawa be, I don't know, training? In which case he shouldn't be on Raw on Monday. In which case that he'd still be protecting himself for the future so that he could like walk away winning. Instead, he's on Raw losing in a match that takes less than 5 minutes, and it's just I hate when announcers, and I get that they're being fed from the back, and that's what makes me so sad. Is a lot of people think announcers are just stupid. In reality, when you're micromanaged and produced, and that's one thing I pride myself on with this channel. Everything I do here is one take. So if my phone rings, you hear it. If I stumble over words, you hear it. If I, do something that makes me look like an idiot, you hear it because it makes me relatable. I'm a human being. These announcers are allowed to sound like human beings if they're sitting there saying, "Oh, Tozawa's having a career resurgence because he's losing in 3 minutes on Raw, but on NXT he's having good matches." That's like saying, um, a guy's cheating on his wife, but when she's home, she likes him. It's stupid. Like, are we that brain dead? That this is supposed to fly? I guess so. Anyway, um, so Garza wins quickly with a wing clipper. Garza and Theory have some tension going on. Maybe there's a Theory babyface turn. One can hope, because I think Theory's one of the top talents in WWE right now, and I just wish he had more personality to him. But anyway, let's see. So then Drew McIntyre makes his way out. He's out there and he's telling all three of them to bring it. So he's like Superman this week because he can take three people on 3-on-1. He wipes out Theory with a Claymore kick, which amuses Andrade and Garza. They're laughing at Theory. So again, the breakaway bound to happen sooner or later, probably sooner. Andrade told Garza to attack, but McIntyre hits Garza with a Claymore kick, and then Andrade and McIntyre argue. So then we have a match where so Drew McIntyre, who's out there, who's a champion, who just had like a really big match last night, supposedly with Seth Rollins, hard fought victory. He's out there and he's willing to take on Andrade in a non-title match that goes 8.5 minutes. Now, a couple of things. Do you remember the time in wrestling where the heel would challenge, or the babyface would challenge the champion to fight, and then it would be set up? I remember those days. Now we've got the champion running out there offering to fight for free, ostensibly, because there's no build up to it. And the champion looks like a putz because, like, I'll fight. When I'm sitting there going, if this were real, if this were boxing or UFC or, any single sport, you'd be like, no, get a challenger ready, then we build up the fight. In WWE land, we don't build things up for more than 15 minutes. Again, stupid. So, the announcers are excited about champion versus champion, even though we can see, we've already seen this, and we actually did about a month, 6 weeks ago. Andrade works over the arm, and Saxton actually has a memory about history for a second. He says that they had fights in NXT where the arm was an issue. Anyway, McIntyre hits a sit-out powerbomb for near fall. Andrade still works the arm. Hits a knee strike in the corner. They trade chops. Wow. McIntyre chops loud. McIntyre hits a headbutt and then hits a reverse Alabama slam with Claymore kick for the pinfall. Easy for me to say. And then, I don't know. I mean, 50-50 booking, and the U.S. champion, which I think is like the second biggest male champion on Raw, loses matches, so why should we care that he's champion at all? And why do we need to see matches repeatedly when there's no real issue behind them, feud-wise? Don't know. Anyway, so McIntyre grabs the mic. He said he didn't come out necessarily to fight, but he is willing to take a fight at any time. He's happy to have a Claymore party, which I guess is now the WWE equivalent of a super kick party. McIntyre acknowledges a brand versus brand initiative, which I don't remember hearing about. McIntyre says that Raw invited a certain SmackDown superstar to fight him, and that is going to be Baron Corbin. So the WWE roster is so weak that Corbin versus McIntyre set for next week is supposed to give us, some sort of goosebumps or something. Like, man, they've got talent and nobody's ready, so we just throw matches together like, it's kind of like taking leftovers out of your fridge and going, yeah, I'll have some of this and some of that and some of this and some of that, and throwing it into a TV program. Anyway, so McIntyre acknowledges that they're going to fight next week. McIntyre's excited by this. I guess he doesn't like himself that much. Either that or he's glad to contribute to the world by providing them a cure for insomnia. He says he's going to have a Claymore kick fit for a king next week. Otis joins Miz TV on Friday SmackDown. Charlotte Flair set to appear. They plugged the Undertaker special on the network, which I've been meaning to watch. Maybe I'll comment on it when I've seen all 5 segments. Like, I'll do a retrospective on it, or audio or something like that. Who knows? Anyway, so MVP encourages Lashley to stay angry and focused. He then says he has respect for Carrillo, but wondered why Lashley was fighting somebody so far down the totem pole, and basically implies that Lashley should be, fighting for the WWE Championship. The last time he did this was in 2007. Lashley says 13 years later he's still stuck in his own head, and MVP encourages Lashley to think about this long term. Anyhow, I mean, this is fine if it's leading to a breakup with Lana, and then MVP managing Lashley, which I don't think would be the worst thing in the world, and then McIntyre versus Lashley being a feud. While I'm not a Bobby Lashley guy at this point, the balloon's already off the rose on the guy. It's better than what they're doing with McIntyre now, so I support that. Um, Lana is unhappy with this. She throws a fit, and then we go to a moment of bliss with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Um, so they mock the man for being about to become a mother. Um, Nikki Cross is happy for her. The Iconics come out. Now, maybe the Iconics were something big. Well, actually, they were. They were like the women's tag champs for a while, right? But in the time that I've gotten back to watching weekly in the last 3-4 months, they haven't been around. One of the announcers said they've been gone for 7 months. So I didn't see this as that big a thing. Um, you know, Bliss gets under the skin of one of the Iconics really well, saying it's weird that a baby stole their thunder. Royce says that Ginger Jr. wasn't going to steal their spotlight. I wonder what the big deal was about a baby. Everyone's had a baby. Everyone's been a baby. Nikki Cross is still a baby. This is the vein of the interview. The Iconic says it doesn't have to be a title match. They can still prove that they're motivated to win. And Bliss and Cross accept for after the commercial break. So then we have a non-title match here with the Iconics winning over the women's tag champs in 5.5 minutes, or they're just under. Iconics work over Cross till Bliss makes a hot tag. Bliss comes in ripping and roaring. Referee distracted. Billy Kay jabbed Bliss in the throat with something. Then Royce and Kay give Bliss a double team facebuster for pinfall win. Match was fine, although it's kind of just there. So Samoa Joe announces we have new champions. However, the announcers corrected that it was in fact non-title. And then Joe scrambles to say, well, they should be new champs. Charlie Caruso interviews Mysterio, asks how he feels after last night. Mysterio admitted he felt his life flashed before his eyes. Miracle happened that he was able to survive. And he and Aleister Black landed next to each other, and they knew it was too late for them. Congratulations to Otis, he says. Rollins interrupts, and then he stares Mysterio down without saying anything. Ray, this is where anybody who didn't know that Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins were an item finds out, because he congratulates him on being soon to be a father. Says being a father changes his life, and he wants to congratulate him. Let's see. Mysterio looked at Caruso and says, that Rollins is kind of off. He doesn't say it that way, but I want to keep this PG rated here. Anyway, 6-man tag match. Ricochet, Cedric, and R-Truth win against MVP, Shane Thorne, and Brandon Vink in 4.5 minutes. This is just here. Thorne and Vic look fine. They hold Aleister on the outside for a long time. Then Ricochet wiped them all out with a moonsault. MVP punches Truth, and Truth went down and handed his false teeth to the referee. The referee is confused by this. MVP was distracted, which allows Truth to hit a reverse STO. Stupid match, just filler. After the match, Lashley comes out and speared Truth, and Lashley and MVP leave together. Caruso interviews Jinder Mahal. He's honored to be on Raw after being on the shelf for almost a year. Says he's happy for his friend Drew McIntyre becoming champion. Mahal himself deserved to be loved and respected. Like McIntyre, he says he's on a new path in life and here to redeem himself and learn from his mistakes. His journey to the top would be a hero's journey. Um, Another hype for the Undertaker series. Caruso asks Shayna Baszler about her reaction to Lynch's announcement. And here's where Shayna Baszler's a wonderful heel. She says what anybody with a brain's thinking. She wonders how stupid you have to be to get knocked up while being champion. She says 10 out of 10 mothers will admit that their career's never the same after parenthood. And they try and convince you that being a parent doesn't ruin their careers, but it's not true. Says Lynch was the longest reigning Raw champion, and throwing it away is foolish, and to carry a parasite of a kid. Um, she then says the kid's gonna suck. You know who the father is. I mean, it's a little over the top, but again, the average person that respects Becky Lynch, unless they have the issue of wanting to be a mother themselves or wanting kids themselves, is going to look and go, "You're making how much money? And you couldn't finish out your contract and then get pregnant? Like, hello." Um, anyway, announcers talk about Mysterio and Black getting thrown off the roof as they set up the Mysterio and Black versus Rollins and Murphy match. So this goes about 11 minutes. Murphy goes for tags multiple times, but Rollins is just zoned out. He's looking scruffy. His hair is disheveled. His eyes are hollow. Rollins, he's just off in his own world. And then we see Black takes some shots to the head. Black comes back with a boot before tagging Mysterio, who hits a senton springboard crossbody instead of his own, and then Murphy goes into the barricade. Ray tries a crossbody, but Murphy reversed it into a roll-up for near fall. Ray countered Murphy's Law into a bulldog for a 2 count as well. And Ray's in the corner, he elbows Rollins in the gut, which is kind of satire, I suppose. Mysterio went for 619, but Rollins caught him and yanked him out of the ring. Referee calls for the bell for some disqualification rule that we don't understand why. Rollins tosses Mysterio into the barricade, poked him in the eye, and punched him in the eye. And then Murphy takes down Black. Rollins becomes enraged and drives Mysterio's face into the steel steps, driving his eye into the corner of the step. Rollins eventually lets go, and we see blood on the steps. Officials run down to break this up. So I assume we're getting a Ray versus Rollins program after Ray takes some time off or something. Ray's tended to after the break medically, and Black looks on. They take his masks off, and then we move to, Rollins kind of slinking around in the background. Street Profits practice playing basketball. Yeah. This is kind of dumb. The eventual score is 74 to 2 with the Street Profits up. Natalya accepts a challenger from Baszler. And then Natalya wonders if Baszler understands how Baszler looks to disrespect motherhood. Newsflash, 2020, not everyone wants to be a parent. Anyway, so Baszler says Natalya knows nothing about motherhood and is never going to have a kid. Baszler says the Hart Dynasty would die with her. Viking Raiders told the Street Profits they let them win. And then Shayna Baszler and Natalya go at it for about 3 3/4 minutes. The biggest thing here is Natalya does a lot of swearing throughout to try and make herself seem tough. I don't get it. Like, Natalia's been around for what? 10, 12 years, something like that. And if she disappeared for a year, tell me, other than a diehard fan of hers, who's going to care? She's flat, and one of the people that honestly I think they should have let go. Yes, she's versatile, she can do anything, but would I rather take a chance on somebody who hasn't had a chance yet, or someone who's had multiple chances and never really got over to the level expected? Um, and I know there's some people that say Natalia is such a ring general and all this and that, but truthfully, especially in that women's division right now, that's not as big a deal as people think. Anyway, Caruso interviews Corbin. He says he's proved he's willing to do whatever it takes to win last night. He also says Mysterio and Black were lucky because having the secondary roof. Corbin says that he has everything it takes to take on McIntyre. Um, Corbin says he made McIntyre the champion he is today, and he's going to show the world what it means to be a king. Now the main event segment that isn't even a match. Stupid. Edge comes out and basically says if he didn't live in a world of what ifs, he decided he wanted to end his career on his terms. And says he saw an advertisement of a promo for himself. Talking about the Orton thing here. So he says he got all he needed out of Randy Orton at Mania. He's ready to move on. And then Orton comes out, says he's got one thing to say. Congratulations. Better Man won. His music hits. He begins to leave. Orton comes back and says the better man won at Mania. The better wrestler didn't. Orton claims that Edge was hiding behind 29 others at the Rumble. Says the last man standing match gave him the advantage of weapons. And Orton says it didn't take him 9 years to get back up. Orton says in his opinion the matches that have taken place so far aren't traditional wrestling matches. Well, duh. Orton notes it's been a long time since Edge actually had a real match. Didn't think he had what it took anymore. And Orton's natural ability will knock Edge around, give him a chance. Orton acknowledges that Edge has called him one of the best ever, future Hall of Famer. Story writes itself that a straight-up wrestling match between the two would end differently. Orton lays the concept out for Backlash. Edge says nothing to this, and we go off the air with Edge not really acknowledging what he wants to do with this. So you hype a segment between two guys that are legends, where they're going to wrestle in reverse now and now do a regular match after beating the ever-living cat pee out of each other. Again, stupid segment to end the show. They wonder why the ratings are dying. You could put this in the middle of the show, it would have been fine, but that's not how you end a show. Anyway, so that's the Raw review for the 11th of May. Comment below if you have comments. This show's getting worse and worse. I honestly think they're going to go below 1 million viewers for Raw. Mark my words, they will go below 1 million viewers for at least 1 hour of Raw before the pandemic thing is over. And I don't think they're going to be able to fill arenas when they come back. I honestly think that the nature of this has all been exposed to a point where there's no way to really get this going in a positive direction again. Hopefully I'm wrong, but that's my gut feeling. Anyway, until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.